Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and today we have an interesting and sad discussion that relates directly to families, family therapy, all the things that my wife is very good at. And it has to do with Russell Simmons. And Russell Simmons is, as you know, a hip hop mogul. He's also a guy who is having a very public situation with his daughters and also his ex wife, Kimora. For many years, you knew about this couple, you saw the family grow up, and it just really got messy on social media. And this really got my wife going because she sees families like this all the time in her practice, where things are going on. Maybe it's parental alienation, maybe it's some form of abuse, maybe it's just inappropriate behavior. So anyway, I would like to ask my wife, how you doing this morning, babe?
I'm doing okay, but I think this story. Wait, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing
Okay.
good. Yeah,
I think
people.
this story got you going too, boys,
It well,
because
but
or can I talk now? I can tell it
no.
got you.
Shut up, woman. Women can't talk here. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think it really got you going because you cut me off.
I know it did.
And I know we know that like when you're saying something, someone cuts you off, that means they got going.
That's
You
so
got
true.
going with this whole story. So I think you got going because you weighed in on this somewhat passively when Russell Simmons posted a post about fathers. What was that post?
I didn't get it from Russell's page though, but I did post it,
You posted it.
and
What did it say, and why did it resonate with you?
it says stop telling fathers they should have fought harder to see their children, and start asking mothers why they had to fight at all.
Yeah, so I like that post because fathers should not have to fight at all to see their children.
No, they should not.
That's abusive,
Yes, it is.
and I do want to call that abuse. I think
Okay.
it's psychologically and it's emotionally abusive for any father to have to um, feel like no matter what's going on in the family situation and with the relationship, no matter what's going on, fathers should never have to fight to see their kids, even if they're the non-custodial parent.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Now make sure
Hmm.
now mind you. By the way, everybody, good morning, and please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, feel free to let us know what city you're from. In case you don't know, Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins is where I get together with my wife, Dr. Alicia, and we talk about things that happen in the Black community that are related to love and money in particular. Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work, and also, she's a certified trauma specialist. And her website is coachingwithdralicia.com. So, anyway, I want to say hello to Raymond and Jafet and Wit Finesse. Wit Finesse.
Where are they
Finesse.
from? I'm always curious about where people are from. I went live on Instagram and it was
Mhm,
yesterday because I'm a dance mom yesterday, and
mhm.
someone from London came in. It was
Yeah.
so great.
Yeah, we have a lot of support in
Yeah,
London.
and that was
Every
where.
time I do an event there, we sell out. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the ironic part about London is that I was getting Tay Tay ready for her dance competition, and her dance debut was in London. Remember
Yeah, it was. It
her big
was.
stage?
That's so true.
It was really
I
great.
remember that. Yeah, yeah. A lot of Black London showed up,
Like London
and
showed up to your event.
she was 7, and she just said, "I want to do a dance," and we were like, "Okay." And she just made up the dance and said, "I want to use the scarf in the dance." I was like, "For what?" She said, "I'll just add it in there." And she did it, and she did a great job. Everybody clapped. Everybody was
she was
happy.
she was so uninhibited, and she was embarrassed, but it didn't stop her from going.
Yeah,
She
yeah,
loves
yeah.
the stage. But
She
anyway,
does. She does. All right.
so
So,
let's get back to the topic.
yeah, let's jump back into this. Okay, so we were talking. By the way, there's Tater. She's the one in the middle. Tater, Tay Tay, Taylor. That's our baby, and I get to be her bonus dad, and she is a dancer, so I'm a dance dad. And her father, she has a biological father also, who's a great guy. We work together to raise this child, and we just love her a lot, and we love all the kids, of course. But we were talking about Taylor today. So anyway, all right. So let's get back
So
to
that's how it
Russell.
started. I think it started with that post that
Hmm.
went viral on Father's Day. And so I liked it. I hit the like button.
Okay.
Why do you think, Boyce, it went viral on Father's Day?
Because there's a lot of frustrated fathers. Not to
Hmm.
say that Russell. See, I think we got to make sure we separate that conversation from Russell
Yeah.
because we don't want it to sound as if we know what's going on with this family, right? I think that's very clear, right? So, but I think this post about fathers and their struggles was very important to a lot of people who see the other side. They don't believe the BS narrative that it's always the man's fault,
That's right.
that women are always the angel and always the victim. And, and there are women that use that to their advantage. That at least a lot of men feel that way. And it's like, no, if that's the father of your kids, he has the same rights you do to see those kids.
Hmm.
And what will happen is that the behaviors or mistakes of the father get overly scrutinized. Like, oh, he yelled at the baby. That's why I don't let my baby see him. Well, when you yell at your baby, don't nobody take your kids away. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, parents yell at the kids. That doesn't mean they're a bad parent.
right?
And so you should always encourage a healthy relationship, of course. We all working on becoming better people and better parents to our kids, but our kids love us. It's embedded in us to love us. And whenever I see a child, and I do work with a lot of parental alienation cases, whenever I see a child that doesn't want to be with the non-custodial parent, I immediately like have questions in my mind. Like, why would you not want to see your dad? Like,
Mm,
what would be the reason? Like, why would children get information that's damaging to their father? Why would they get that information? Where's that information coming from?
mm,
So why are children in the middle of a parental dispute? That
mm,
that should never happen. So we're going on. I didn't even know that post was related to Russell Simmons, but apparently Russell Simmons' daughters. Okay, this is apart from the mom. The mom didn't, I don't think the mom put them up to it. But on Father's Day, they sent a message out on their Instagram story
mhm,
that happy Father's Day to my mother, totally ignoring
mm,
the fact that Russell Simmons is their father and no Father's Day discussion to their dad. That stung. And when I see something like that, I see
mhm,
a lot of pain in those children.
mhm. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I mean, my first reaction as a father is, I get saddened by the desire to disrespect your parent, no matter what. I mean, you see mothers doing all kinds of crazy stuff out here. Just yesterday, we were talking about the rapper Young Miami saying I'm a whore. And imagine if her child grew up and was 10 years old or 20 years old and saying, I don't talk to my mother because she's an open whore. And I think that's just embarrassing, unacceptable. Should have all her motherhood rights revoked because she publicly embarrassed all of us. I don't think we would
Yeah.
hear that, right? So I think that with Russell, it's
We
kind of like a prickly scenario where when you're talking about that non-custodial parent,
mhm.
especially when it's a man, it's like, oh well, he made a mistake. He did something mean 2 years ago,
And
and
abusive
that's
and
why.
labeling somebody as abusive because they raised their voice at you. And I don't think that's fair. But I also, what's interesting about Young Miami is that her own mother went to prison for murder. And they said, what is your relationship like with your mother? And she said, oh, we're like this. She crossed her fingers together. She said,
Really
me and my mom are like this.
interesting. Okay.
So she talked about how close she is to her mother, although her mother murdered somebody. I don't know the details of it, but if
Wow.
you went to prison for murdering somebody, I would almost think there's got to be a better way to deal with whatever was going on. But I don't
Right.
know. So the thing is that
Mm,
her mother went to jail for murder, prison for murder, and she's still close to her mother. So
right.
I don't want to hear that, oh, my dad yelled at me, and so therefore I don't want to see him ever.
Mm,
So and then they had a very public legal dispute between the two of them. And probably Russell, let's admit, Russell probably wasn't nice to her, you know. But the
well,
thing
in the
is,
legal dispute, oh yeah,
in the
absolutely
legal
not.
dispute and what Kamora Lee discussed and what was publicly like shown, yeah, he was not being kind to the mother, and that's the thing. Like the daughter, did you see their reality show? Oh my God, they had a reality show, Kamora and the two girls.
Did they?
Yeah, way back in I want to say the early 2000s or something. It was
Mm,
a beautiful show. And you
mm,
could see in that show, she is very close to those daughters. Russell was
mm,
going around not there. Think about that. He was not, you didn't really see him they were married to each other, but you did not see them together a lot.
mm,
I think his career, I think that's the problem. Like men, they bury themselves in their careers
mm,
and they feel like the only thing that they can provide for the family that's worth anything is their money.
mm,
But really, what the kids need is they're starving for attention from their dad. And I'm talking about like being there physically. And you didn't see him in that reality show. Now that I'm thinking back on it, you didn't really see him physically there very often. And when he was there, the type of relationship looked to me, from what I can remember, very transactional.
Okay.
You know, he wasn't like involved in their lives deeply, like you would think an involved father would be. But that's neither here nor there. That was his choice, his decision. But I mean, I think that's a lesson for all of these fathers to know that your kids need your time and attention.
Yeah, I do agree with that. By the way, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins, and this is my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. And Pillow Talk is where we get together and lay against our pillows, literally, and have what we hope are intelligent, fun conversations about things happening in the Black community, particularly in the areas of love and money. And my PhD is in finance. Her PhD is in social work, and she's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. So if you'd like to learn more about what she does, and she sees couples and individuals, you can go to coaching with dralicia.com. Hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Just a reminder, this podcast is on Spotify. And also last night, if you go to drvoicetv.com, you can also check out a discussion Alicia and I had last night, actually, about this interesting thing with this rapper, Young Miami, who basically proudly said, "I'm a whore." But then when they said, "We do want your daughter to be a city girl," Young Miami kind of flinched and said, "No, I don't want that for my daughter." So we talked about some of that last night. It was a fun conversation. So let's get back into it. So
Yeah, but that conversation last night was so brilliant that you
mm,
picked the brilliant part about it because your big ass brain. Anybody that
oh,
listened last night, they understand the joke
just
about
call me
your
Babs.
big ass brain.
Babs.
Your bab. Anyway, you pointed out the look on her face
Mm,
of disgust
mm,
the instant it came into her mind that her daughter would become a city girl one day.
yeah.
And I just think that
You could see two things. You saw disgust and you saw her processing.
oh
Like
she
like Jason Lee really made her think, because she's like, I am a whore with a W. And then he says, "Well, your daughter Summer," she's like, "That's a pretty girl. What if she said she wanted to go and be a city girl?" And her face just crunched up, and she starts thinking, she's like,
mm,
she ain't gonna be no city girl. And it's
yeah.
like, well, why not? Why can't she be a city girl? She's like, no, mm-mm. And so it's just
No, but
interesting,
she mentioned I'm going to raise my daughter differently from how I was raised.
right?
That was the big statement there.
Hmm.
You know, and that said and I remember thinking when I heard that comment, I'm like, look at that beautiful innocent little girl.
Mm,
And she identifies with that because she herself, young Miami, was a beautiful innocent little girl, and on somewhere along the line that innocence was taken away from her
mm,
and turned her into what she internalized as herself as being nothing and nobody.
right, absolutely.
And she's going to protect that little girl, her daughter, because she herself wasn't protected. She's going to do better for her daughter than was done for her.
Right. So
Anyway,
anybody
we
who
can
wants
go.
yeah, anybody who wants to go back and watch that episode, it's on drvoicetv.com. It's also on Spotify. So if you look up my name, Boyce Watkins, you can find all of our episodes on Spotify. So let's get back to
All right,
Russell
let's get
instead
back
of,
to Russell
because I want to talk
because
about Russell. And the reason also, it's interesting to me, and I have to be really thoughtful about this, is because I know Russell. I worked with Russell in 2013 on a mass incarceration campaign, and it really worked. We The agreement that Russell and I had was I would write a letter to President Obama asking the president to change his incarceration policy, which should have been a no-brainer. It should have been a no-brainer because because Obama had already said, he wanted to do this. So what Russell said was, he said, "Okay, so you get all the scholars and all the intelligent people to sign this letter. I'll get the celebrities." I said, "Okay, great." Now, honestly, people, that maybe have heard me talk about celebrities before, they know I don't trust celebrities until they prove their trustworthiness. Like when I worked with Ice Cube, he had to show me that he was serious before I was really interested in being involved. I didn't feel like Kanye West was all that serious, so I didn't really want to do much
Kanye
with him.
West has some other Kanye. Let me tell
Well,
you,
let's get. Oh, hold on.
Kanye
Wait,
West
wait, wait.
was
Hold on. Let's not talk about Kanye.
he.
I don't want to derail into
I
Kanye.
just want to say one thing.
Yes.
I think he was serious. He just has a lot of other stuff going on.
Right. There we
Yeah,
go.
there
Yeah.
we
So
go.
God bless
That's all
him.
I want to say
God
about
bless
him.
him. Okay. So
Hmm.
so the thing is, like, so I didn't feel like Kanye was ready. So I just kind of stopped whatever we were doing. And then with Ice Cube, I worked with him because I really had a lot of respect for his commitment to the Black community. With Russell, I wasn't sure either, but I can tell you, I was really impressed. And again, this has nothing to do with what his daughters think about him, but I can say in terms of working with him directly, I saw a lot of integrity in terms of how he handled things. First off, he kept his entire end of the bargain. He got every celebrity, I'm talking about, from Rick Ross and Lil Wayne to Justin Bieber and Kim Kardashian to Will and Jada Smith, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith. Chris Rock. He got all these celebrities to sign his letter, probably like well over 100, because he was very serious about the incarceration issue. And I said, wow, this guy is really doing it. So I went and I pushed to get like the HBCU presidents and a lot of the thinkers and scholars and activists. And so here's what happened. So it got to the point where the White House started feeling the heat. You know, a lot of people. This is why a lot of this is what a lot of people don't understand about what it was like to kind of deal with the Obama administration. Is there's just a lot of fakery kind of happening. You know, where they were like, oh yeah, black people are in our pocket. We don't have to do anything for them. So we were kind of so they kind of got upset because we were pressuring them to really do something substantive, and so Valerie Jarrett started to put pressure on Russell. Now they didn't put pressure on me because they kind of knew I was off the ranch. They had tried to put pressure on me through Al Sharpton, and then I kind of let Al and them know like I'm not. Oh, you can't control me. Russell, however, was in the celebrity space. They went through a concerted effort, in my view, to control the black celebrities because they knew that black people listen to celebrities. So they said if we just invite them to the White House Christmas party, let them take some pictures with Barack, they're not going to give us any problems. Russell was one of the few celebrities. Again, this I'm not justifying his whole life now. I'm just talking about my experience, and I think that's just out of fairness to him. Russell was the celebrity who said, "Screw you. This issue, I don't care about being." He said, "I don't give a damn about your parties. I don't care about you pushing me out of the inner circle. This is an important issue. You must address this issue." And because there was one point where I remember he called me and he said, "Did Jamon?" They had an interesting divorce, like because she married Kimora married that actor Jamon Hansu or something, and so Russell, Kimora, Jamon, and the kids were all going for a White House tour, right? So they're hanging out with the with his ex-wife's new husband, and they went to the White House. And Valerie Jarrett, they couldn't get in for some security reason. So he calls Valerie. He's like, "Hey, we're having this issue. Can you let us in?" And he basically, to make a long story short, Russell said he claimed Valerie would not let him in to the White House because he felt it was because he had that letter.
Yeah, he lost his good nigger sticker. And Russell Simmons is a great business person. He's a
Mm-hmm.
great I guess activist in this sort of way. And I
Right.
also signed that letter. I signed that letter, by the way.
That's
You
right. You
reached out
did
to me.
sign it. I forgot.
Yeah, yeah, you reached out. I was one of the scholars that signed
You
that letter
were. We, we,
back
had,
in
we
the
had
day.
like 200 something people. I was so proud of that.
So what he
By the way, you know what set it off?
what set it off?
It was doing really well. It was getting momentum. The one that set it off and got the White House to actually make a move was actually, believe it or not, Justin Bieber. When
Oh
Ju-
yeah.
when Justin Bieber signed and then he tweeted out the hashtag, it became the number three highest trending hashtags on Earth. And at that point, the White House was like, "Crap, we can't ignore this anymore."
Okay.
Oh, raggedy ass Justin Bieber, ain't that some shit?
Justin Bieber ain't raggedy. Like, I mean, come
Well,
on.
he's talented.
His music.
Elvis,
We have helped his career. Let's just say that.
Elvis, go ahead, go
Okay, what I'm trying.
ahead.
Let me just thank you, boys. Thank you for using the airways to share that very long story of you and
It
Russell
was long. It
Simmons.
was
It
way
was
too long.
it was way too long. You have to
Oh my
think of a
god,
condensed version to
I
tell that
I totally
story.
do.
But what I'm saying is the point of this is that Russell Simmons is a good person, right? And
Sometimes,
I think he's fallible, right?
absolutely.
And the thing is that this hopefully that this public display, I would hope to think that he is in contact with somebody that can mediate a relationship between he and his daughters. It's not
Mm,
too late. I don't think any father should ever give up on trying to maintain and establish a healthy relationship with their biological child. Should never
mm,
give up on that because if they did not love their father, they wouldn't have put that message up. It's
mm,
the hate and the pain that they feel from what they feel as being abandoned or being attacked unfairly or being put into the middle of a lawsuit. Like they should never know the details, but it's very difficult for children when you're in the public eye not to know the details. As
mm,
connected as they are to their mother, I do think that there's some form of parental alienation on the part of the mother, and she probably doesn't even know that she's doing it.
mm,
She's getting off the phone with him. He's sending her harassing texts and text messages. She's hanging up and she's distressed by it. And the kids can pick up on the fact that Kimora was probably very upset, rightfully so, right? And they identify
Mm,
with their mother, probably what like little girls do, identify with their mother so well. It's like, God, my mom is sad right now, crying because of something that my dad did to her. How dare he do that? Right? So
mm,
it's unfair. And I'm not saying that he's a bad person, but what I'm saying is that he needs to look at that.
mm-hmm,
He needs to look at that. And it's one thing to just, because I did read the article and he did put out an apology. I want to apologize to my daughters for that. But saying you're sorry, no, he said, I want to say I'm sorry. Saying you're sorry is just one little part of an apology. There's an
mm,
entire process that needs to happen for an apology to really stick with the person. First of all, you have to sit down, you have to listen to their perspective and find out the pain that those girls went through. Because I think the story, what they're saying is that he was a wonderful father up until a certain point, and then all of a sudden they saw him differently. They saw a change in their father. That's what their article said.
mm,
The article, I read an article on Yahoo or whatever, some Yahoo article, but they've given quotes. They say, we were always close to our dad. We really loved our dad. And then all of a sudden he became a different person. He became mean and he became impatient and he started yelling and making threats. And, they got receipts of him being less than the ideal person. So they're just in a place of desperation. And I think they although publicly displaying that on social media is probably not the best way to do it, but they just felt helpless in that case. So I really empathize with Kimora and what she went through. I empathize with those girls, and I also empathize with what Russell Simmons is saying. Good grief. Yeah, I yelled at my kids. That doesn't mean that you need to label me as abusive. So I
mm,
don't think that label is appropriate. And I think that he needs to stop whatever he's doing, stop working,
mm.
get on an airplane, go see his children and make it right.
Interesting. By the way, everybody, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And Pillow Talk is where we get together and we have what we hope are intelligent, fun conversations about issues that are happening in the Black community. Dr. Alicia is a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. And her website, if you want to see what she does, she sees clients individually, she sees families, etc. You can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That's her website. Also, I want to remind everybody that the All Black National Convention is happening October 20th through the 22nd in Atlanta. If you are Black and intelligent and be in Black first, then this is the place for you. Feel free to visit allblacknationalconvention.com. We are on our 8th year in Atlanta, and I'm super excited. So feel free to go to allblacknationalconvention.com to get a pass, become a vendor, etc. If you could, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Also hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. I hope you're getting something good from this content. Our goal is to make your life better. So let me hop in and let me say this about Russell and his family. First off, we don't know all the details, right? And as much as I can tell you about my personal experience with Russell, which I felt compelled to share just because I think that, if everybody's going to bash you, then people should also jump out and
They
share.
should say everything. Not everybody is all bad. I love that. I
Right.
love that.
Yeah, yeah, the nuances,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, in my own experience, it went a certain way. But then again, I'm not his daughter. I'm not a woman. So I haven't known him, over a 30, 40 year period. So I can't speak to anything else that's out there. What I will say though is I think I was saddened by the fact that I don't think give me a yes if you all agree with this, but I really don't think family business needs to be on the internet. Why are you taking it to the court of Instagram? Like, what is Instagram gonna do to make your family better?
Yeah.
And this is what I would say to those little girls: is look, don't none of these people on Instagram really care that much about your family. As far as I'm concerned, they'll let your whole family fall apart and your whole life fall apart just for entertainment.
They need professional help for
Yeah,
sure.
you
Yeah.
need you
They need
need
professional.
privacy, you need a therapist, you need a moderator. Like, why in the hell? I want to say why in the uck, but I'm not gonna cuss this morning because it's a Sunday. Why
Don't
in the
cuss.
why in the cluck? How about this? Why in the cluck do you need to be airing your dirty laundry out on Instagram? You just don't do that. I
They're
don't.
frustrated. And there's been a lot of celebrity children who've been doing this.
I get it, but it's
Yeah.
like, why? What's the point? Like, what is it gonna do? Instagram going to do to make your situation better? They're not really watching you because they're going to come and help you. They're not going to show up at like the police and arrest the person who did something wrong to you. They're not the ones who are going to fix your problem.
Instagram's not therapy.
Right. They're on there watching with popcorn in the left hand and a drink in the other, and they're like just taking in the tea. That's
Yeah,
it.
because think about the thinking process of throwing shade on Instagram. You're frustrated, you're upset, you're trying to talk to somebody, you're trying to talk to your dad, and you're trying to share with your dad the hurt that you're going through, and your dad doesn't want to listen. And so I think
Sharon Harris just said what you just said. Look,
what?
Sharon Harris says sometimes you have to in order to reach the person you're speaking on.
Yeah, I just said that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why
Go ahead,
that's why I
Sharon.
pointed out
Okay,
that
thank
point.
you, Sharon.
Sharon,
Yes.
you're a genius. Go ahead. Continue.
I lost my train of thought. Okay, so the thing is that they couldn't get to him. And Lord, I didn't lost what I was going to say. But the thing is that is your way of just dealing with in that moment. You're just like, oh, I'm so frustrated with this. I'm just going to throw this up there, and I'm just going to just get to him this way. And so it's a signal. It's a signal of the pain that they experience.
So it's like Instagram therapy.
It's Instagram
like I feel
signaling.
better. I feel better because I'm just gonna let it all out.
Well, that's the problem. The problem is that it's a temporary relief of the pain that you're feeling. When the only thing that can relieve your pain is for your father to come and listen to you. It really is that easy. It's not it's simple, but it's not easy. Let's put it that way. It's very simple. The solution is very simple, but it's absolutely not easy. And they do need a mediator. They really do need reunification of this family.
And then okay, so why not, if you're gonna go to Instagram to get your father's attention because maybe you feel like he's ignoring you?
It makes sense.
All right, okay. So why not do a message where you say, look, I've been having trouble with my dad, and here we have some real issues. And Dad, if you're watching, I need you to call me so we can talk personally. You know what I mean? Why not do it that way? Because I listened to some of the commentary, and what I heard was, I just want you guys to just know it's not what you think it is. He's really a terrible person. He's really this and he's really that. It's almost like she was trying, what I heard, she was trying to convince the court of Instagram that her father was a bad person. Like he's broke, he doesn't have any money. Like I think Kimura said that. So to me that's very like you're humiliating your father. You're trying your best. It's like me sitting on the line saying, my mother is a slut. One time I went under her bed and found a vibrator, and I saw her on the phone talking about having sex with this guy and blah blah. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're taking a legacy and you're just destroying it. Now again, I get it.
I was going to say something. They haven't been in a position where they're able to process how they feel.
Okay.
You know
what
I mean?
But they went to Harvard. Can't they learn how to process?
Well, I don't know what they majored in Harvard.
Well, they need to go back to Harvard and talk to one of the therapists.
I don't know if Harvard has a therapy school. I don't know any.
You don't think there are no therapists at Harvard?
I don't know any trained therapists that went to school at Harvard. I don't think that's their focus.
Baby, they got therapists at Harvard.
I know they have therapists.
Don't even.
I just want to say
it's Harvard. Go ahead.
Can I speak, please? I just want to say I don't know any colleagues who graduated from Harvard that became a therapist. I don't think that's their main discipline focus, right? I graduated from University of Chicago. Yes, they have a social work school. There's a lot of therapists that come out of University of Chicago. Maybe they have a psychology department, but psychology departments just work on research, not necessarily using applied concepts. So anyway, let me just, I want to say that if you haven't been yes, you can be Harvard educated, but that doesn't mean that you are able to clearly talk about and address all of the emotional things that are happening within you. Father's Day was a trigger for them, right? And so they were conflicted and they had all this stuff going on with them. And the best thing they could do was put it out in that way.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this. I think that I think Jimmy Tillman has a point. Jimmy says the mother is behind all this foolishness.
Yeah. So the mom, okay, I want to say, yes, that's possible that the mother could be behind this. And I do think that moms do this. And it's unconscious. I don't think that they mean to do this. I really don't. I think most of the time the moms get caught up into their own thing that they have with the father, right? Their own issues. and the children can hear it. It's in earshot of what their children hear,
Hmm.
right? And so you unconsciously are really alienating your children from their father if you say anything negative about them in their presence.
Well, here's what, right.
You
I
know,
do,
and that's it's an unconscious thing.
I do agree with that, right?
Yeah.
So here's my position. Everybody who loves your kids, say yes in the chat. Everybody who loves their children, give me a yes if you love your kids. And I'm gonna give you some Uncle Boyce advice, and then I'm gonna let you as a therapist kind of pop in because I know you have training in all these areas. But if you love your children, here's what I'm gonna say: when you choose a father or a mother for those kids, never, ever, 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 never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever, never, ever, ever disparage the name of that other parent in front of the kids.
That's so hard,
It's
but you
hard to
should
do.
never do
It's
it.
hard to do. It's
It's
hard to
so
do.
hard,
But just,
but you should never
keeping it
do it.
100, like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what they did. It doesn't matter how true it is. Whatever. You cannot do this
Bite your
because
tongue.
if you do it as a father, you're gonna lose your children because they're gonna be the kids are in line with the mama 100%. The mama birthed them. They follow the mama around. Kids ain't never gonna let go of their mama, no matter how much crack she smoked, no matter how many people she killed, whatever. Kids are naturally just deeply connected to their mother. If you are a mother and you do that to the father, then you're at risk of creating a very sad, depressed, misguided, in many cases, suicidal child. And I say this because kids need their fathers.
They do.
Fathers are
Yeah.
important, very important for protection, for guidance, for confidence.
For whatever.
Your daughter is going to have a hard time forming healthy relationships with men because she ain't got no daddy. Your son might be out here in the streets getting shot up because he doesn't have any male mentorship. So you think you won because now you've alienated the father. You kicked him out of the equation, and you got the kids all to yourself, and that might fill you up emotionally, but your kids have a massive, massive void in their soul that even they don't even know it's there. They just know that they're depressed and don't know why. So I'm just going to ask everybody, can we just make an agreement? Give me a yes. Like, let's really have some progress here. I'm calling the Council of Intelligent Black People. Give me a yes if you can agree that we're not going to bash that other parent, even no matter how pissed off we get. Just give me a yes so we can, because I think we should make some progress. I want to implement
It's
policy
it's
that
gonna
will help us do better with our families.
it's gonna require you to grow.
Yes.
It really is. It's gonna actually
Need to grow. Negroes need to grow. Go ahead.
it is gonna require you to be mature, because
Yes.
immaturity is what happens
Yes.
when you do behaviors like that. And you have to know that you have to put the needs of the child first, and putting the
Hmm.
needs of the child first means you have to button up. You have to
Yes.
just shut your mouth and not say what you know you want to say. You can't
Yes.
say it. You want to say it, but you can't say it because it's going to be hurtful to your children.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you that the father in me gets a little bit saddened by this because I'm kind of like, okay, I get it that you're mad at Russell, and I get it
Yeah.
that he's not a perfect person. I remember hearing,
Nobody's perfect.
there,
Who's perfect?
right, right, exactly. There you go. That's
Nobody.
right, right. And maybe some of his imperfections were pretty glaring, right? I remember Russell. Like it's funny. Like I related to Russell extensively on his. I loved his passion and commitment with the mass incarceration campaign. And I still remember he was so active. I remember his brain that goes 100 miles an hour. And I remember
He's
one
smart.
time I was at the gym on the treadmill. Russell calls me out of the blue. I ain't talked to him in a while. He just he talks for 30 minutes straight, and then he had to go. I don't think I said a single word on the phone. I was like, okay, all right, have a nice day, man. But he's active, and I just think, and really, even if you look at the origins of hip hop and the way he was one of the few people, when hip hop first started, he was one of the few people that saw what hip hop was going to become. Everybody else was like, oh yeah, I like the music, the scratching, the DJs, the parties. Russell was the dude who said, "Oh, this is going to be a billion trillion dollar business." So Russell, he goes and grabs Curtis Blow and does that thing. Then he creates Run DMC. He grabs his brother. He's like, "You can rap here. I'll just put you on stage and teach you." And he just did these amazing things, right? So here's what my point is, right? As much as we know that Russell might not be, but that Russell is definitely not a perfect person, as nobody is, as you mentioned.
Yeah, nobody's perfect.
At what point do we also acknowledge the good side of being associated with such a powerful legacy, with a man that's made probably several $100 million in his life? He's paying you $40,000 per child per month for child support, or at least he did that for a very long time. I don't know what his financial situation is now. He created an amazing life for these girls. They were able to travel around the world as children. They were able to live in mansions and all. And I'm not saying that all
They
that,
would give it all up just so that they can have a relationship with
and that
him.
and that's what the
That's the
claim is.
thing.
And I get it, but I think there's also an argument to be made about what can sometimes happen when we are so blessed that some might say we could become a little spoiled
I
you
don't
know
want to say that. I don't want to say that. I want to. I don't want. I know where you're going, boys, and I want to pull you back a little bit from that direction, just for the sake of keeping everything balanced. Because um, here's what I think would have been a great response from the mom, Kimura. She probably should have looked at her girls and said, "You know what? I'm having a difficult time with your father, but you know what? He's still a good person. I need you. You still need to meet with him. Even though he lost his temper and he yelled and all of those things, it's still important that you have a relationship with him. Of course, setting some boundaries is important because you just can't be going off like that, but still try to end it with repair, some sort of repair at the end of that conversation with her daughters. Still remain encouraging to continue to have that relationship.
Yeah. Well,
That would have gone a long way.
I
Her
do.
influence.
I get it,
Hmm.
and you're right. I mean, kids, if they're born into royalty, basically, they're not gonna know it's royalty, right? They're gonna see the downside of it, and I think it's as a kid who didn't grow up in royalty. When I was born, my father was not in the room. We did not have much money. I remember fantasizing about having more money in the house, or more food, or the ability to ride in a nice car, living in a mansion or whatever. And so I think that makes me kind of wonder if it's okay to say. I think it's okay to say that maybe before you count your curses, you should also count your blessings. Like I do that to this day. Like, now that I have a nice life and you and I travel around the world, we get to do all these cool things. But every time I get a little sad about something I don't have, I force myself to remind myself of all the things I do have. And I don't think that's a terrible lesson for these girls to hear. I think that encouraging them to say, yeah, your dad ain't perfect, but let's look at some of the other areas where your father has been extraordinary. And then at the very least, you can achieve some balance, because I know they do that with their mother, because we know their mama ain't perfect either. And the mama chose the daddy. So, it all kind of goes full circle. So anyway, I'll let you get the last word.
Oh,
But
I'm sorry. I was.
yeah, by the way, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. And if you could take a moment, please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, this podcast is on Spotify. If you look up Boyce Watkins, you can find it on Spotify. My website is boycewatkins.com, and I do have a new book out. It's called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's an Amazon bestseller. So if you're interested in taking a look, you can either go to Amazon or go to boycewatkins.com. All right, so I'll let you get the last. I'll let you get the last word, babe. Did you have any final thoughts you wanted to share?
Yeah, I mean, I like that. Well, my first of all, my final thought is that I hope that means that he's revoking our invitation to come hang out with him. And is he in Tibet or something?
What
Didn't he send it? Did he give an invitation for us to
he
hang out with him?
he he,
Russell Simmons? No.
he did? I
Oh,
don't.
maybe
I
not.
don't remember.
Where does he live? He lives
I think it
in
was in Thailand.
he lives in Thailand. I thought he mentioned something to you about, hey, come visit me in
I
Thailand.
gotta check my phone. I gotta see when my last Russell Simmons text was.
You like your last Russell Simmons text. But anyway, yeah, I mean, this is a wake up call. It's a wake up call to him. Definitely, he's going through something really challenging right now with his entire family.
Well,
His daughters are that's his heirs, and so what kind of legacy does he want to leave for them? And
gosh.
so that's a very lonely. I think he's that's a very lonely state to be in.
Yeah.
And so it's a wake up call to him. So I hope he gets it together. I hope they reconvene and they'll be posting on their Instagram stories hugs and kisses to their dead.
Yeah. Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Well, God bless them, and God bless all of y'all, because I know all of y'all, a lot of y'all in the chat talk about challenges that you're having with your own families, and And I wish you the best with that. And I just want to encourage you to just know that there are solutions out there. Don't try to do it all by yourself. They have great books you can read, therapists you can talk to. There's even stuff on YouTube. So look for the solutions, and learn how to listen to others, learn how to be empathetic. I think that goes a long way. Don't walk into a conversation thinking you know all the answers or that you're always the top priority. I
Mm-hmm.
think our kids, can we at least agree, like as we walk out of here, give me a yes if we can all agree that the kid should be the top priority. If we can agree on that, then I feel like I've done my job for today. So let's put a yes in the chat if we can agree that children are the number one priority. And as you put your yeses in the chat, I want to say thank you so much for checking us out on this episode of Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. Dr. Alicia sees couples and individuals at her with her practice. So feel free to go to coachingwithdralicia.com. And also my website is boycewatkins.com. And so if you'd like to learn about the All Black National Convention or anything else we have going on, feel free to either go to my website or you can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. And this podcast is on Spotify. So if you look up my name on Spotify, you'll find it there. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day. We will talk to you soon. Take care now.
Okay, goodbye, everyone.